Welcome to the Books Between Friends podcast.
3 lifelong friends,
one shared obsession.
Books.
From epic fantasy to page-turning thrillers.
We dive into the stories we love
And the ones we just can't stop talking about.
So take a seat,
Grab a drink,
and get cozy.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. Speaking of cozy, what is keeping you cozy these days? I will go first because I have been loving playing Mario Kart lately. Oh, not Mario Kart, excuse me, Mario Party. Mario Party.
I was gonna say, like, I have it, we need to compete.
Still fun.
I do love Mario Kart, though. But I've been playing, Nick has brought his Switch over, and we've been playing Mario Party like almost every night.
Oh my God.
Yay, that's fun.
I know, it's such a throwback. I haven't played anything Mario related since I was a teenager.
I love that. I was like, man, if you had Mario Kart, I have it too, and you can play online friends. And I have a Switch, so I was like, we can all play.
We totally should. Like, I'm pretty sure we have that. We would just need to coordinate.
Okay. We can talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's so much fun.
Yeah, I love it. It's honestly like anytime I have a chance to play, which really hasn't been very much lately, like I do love it. And I love playing my niece because she's really good and she's super competitive. And I'm competitive, so it's really fun to like really, clash with her. It's so much fun, actually.
We're both super competitive over here, so.
Yeah. I like to watch because I'm not a competitive person and I get more frustrated with competitive people, so I will abstain. But it is fun to watch for me.
I don't know how we're best friends, honestly.
Jesus and his family will play occasionally. They live all down in Houston, and they're always trying to get me to play, but like I won't. I can't. But
no, you're super chill for sure. So we actually played when we went to Padre this summer. We all took our Switch and we all took our controllers and everything, and we played it, but we played it using drinks. So I don't know if you heard it. Have you ever heard? I can't remember the actual term for it. It's something about like a beer drink or like a beer run or something. But like what you do is you start Mario Kart, right? So the objective is to finish your drink before you're finished with the race, but also trying to win, right? And you can't, anytime you want to take a drink, you have to stop playing. So you have to put your controller down and drink and then pick it back up and try to finish the race and finish your drink. And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So what I tried to do was I was like, all right, I'm just going to get to 2 rounds and then I'm going to try to get to the 3rd round, put my controller down, try to chug my drink, and that didn't work. I lost.
And that didn't work.
The key is to drink your drink first and then catch up to everybody.
There's strategy involved.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of strategy in that. Yeah. Anyways.
That makes sense.
That's awesome. So what kept me cozy this past week, I have actually had free time in the evenings when I got home from work. And so I have been going literally straight from the office to my couch. So I've had like some really great cozy couch moments where I'm just like lying on the couch. I've been rewatching Stranger Things, getting ready for the new season in November.
Yes, it's coming
so ready.
So I've been rewatching that. So I've been literally just laying on the couch and watching TV, and it has been amazing because I feel like I haven't done that in a while. So I'm just like, yes, this is keeping me so cozy.
Well, for me, you guys know I've been trying to get to the pool more often. So we were at the pool on Sunday, and it's so fun because our neighbor, I wouldn't say we're like besties or anything like that, but we're cool. And occasionally when we go to the pool, she's there and she's always reading. So we always talk about like what we're reading. And I also always bring a book to the pool.
Yeah.
And I've been noticing that she's been reading a lot of Ellen Hildebrand lately. She's known to be like a very summer friendly vibes kind of writer. Like she writes a lot about, I think she's from Nantucket or lives in Nantucket. I don't know. But all of her books are set there in the summertime. And so I told my neighbor, like, oh, Ellen Hildebrand, like I've noticed you read her a lot, you must really like her. And she's an author I've been wanting to get into. And she was like, oh yeah, I have all her books. I love her. She's my favorite. And I was like, so cool. And then she was like, I'll let you borrow a couple of, like, which ones do you want to read? And she like left on my doorstep like 2 books for me
so
to read.
cool.
Yeah, they're the
I love
exact
that.
ones I've been wanting to read. So the Hotel Nantucket, and for those of
Nice.
you guys who don't watch our YouTube videos and want to see my little show and tell right now, watch our YouTube videos. And then also the Rumor. So I'm
Ooh,
excited. I've
that's
got my little
awesome.
pool TBR for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your September TBR is starting to grow already.
I know.
Already.
Oh my god.
And hasn't even started
Gosh.
yet.
We are stoked to be back discussing our next section of Mistborn. Before we dive right on in, I'm going to hand it over to Jen for our PSA.
So before we get started, friends, quick spoiler warning. If you're listening to this episode, we're assuming that you've read through chapter 31 of the book. And this was a good one, y'all. So I'm really excited. So there will be spoilers throughout, just fair warning. And interact with us on Apple Podcasts, guys. If you guys are enjoying our discussion, if you're enjoying the books we're covering, if you guys think that we're just that funny, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And we would just love to hear from our book friends.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into a summary real quick before we discuss. Like Jen said, this was a really meaty section with lots of good stuff to talk about. So we started this section in chapter 24. At Clubs' shop, the crew regroups and plans their next steps. Vin begins learning more about Pewter with Ham, but their trip to the garrison reveals that the Northern Ska Rebellion has provoked a massive military response. Kelsier and Vin race to warn the rebel army, but arrive too late, unfortunately. The rebellion has already been crushed. The rebellion army has already been crushed. They do manage to reach the caves where 2,000 soldiers survive, ready to continue the fight under Kelsier's leadership. The crew debates the rebellion's future until Spook announces a public execution. From a rooftop, they watch in horror as Ska are slaughtered and their blood drained into a fountain. The brutality steals their resolve to continue their rebellion. Later, Marsh secretly meets Kelsier and Vin, sharing crucial information: the soothing stations that blanket Luthadel with constant emotional allomancy, and the fact that even Inquisitors eventually die of old age. It was a bit of a couple of big reveals here. Along the way, Vin also experiments with Ferukimi for the first time. Ferukimi. At Keep Lakal, Vin stirs noble rumors to fuel the house wars while continuing her dance of words and secrets with Elend. She learns House Venture controls the ATM mines, while Elend struggles under his father Straff's political maneuvering, including pressure to marry into rival houses. Elend's friend Jace suspects Valette of being a spy, further complicating Vin's cover. Meanwhile, Kelsier and the crew use Marsh's maps to plan around the Ministry's forces, even as Vin worries the Inquisitors are closing in. At what becomes the last noble ball for the season, Vin and Cezed discover Valette has become politically toxic, too neutral to ally with. Informant Kliss tries to blackmail Vin, but Vin turns the tables and learns that Elend is marked for assassination. Vin bursts into action, fighting her way through an ambush of thugs, coin shots, and Mistborn, including Shan Ilariel herself. In a brutal duel, Vin tricks Shan by cutting off her ATM burn early and kills her, saving Elend's life. Battered and furious, Vin storms back to Clubs' shop. After dressing her wounds, she confronts Kelsier, furious that he sees Elend as expendable. Their rooftop conversation sharpens the tension between them even as Vin pushes forward with her instincts. Meanwhile, Straff learns of Shan's death, and Elend realizes just how dangerous and fractured the noble world has become.
So many big reveals.
I know.
Yeah.
It was reveal after reveal in this section, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now it's time to dive into our 3, 2, 1. Who wants to get us started?
I can start. Okay.
As she says,
I was
with
like
fists
been
in the air,
dying to get
shaking
into
with
it.
excitement.
Yeah.
So, okay, when I got through these chapters, like I was telling you guys, and for you guys watching our channel right now, anytime I read something, I would like mark it down. I'm like, ooh, that's good, that's good, that's good. And it was just so many things because I'm like, everything, it was either a reveal, something new was happening, or something that kind of solidified our thinkings and past episodes too. Like there have been other things where we're like, oh, hey, we were right about that. Or hey, yes, we're right on that. And so there's just so much to talk about. So I tried to narrow it down as much as I could. So
you have all these like sub points.
I do. I'm
telling you,
hard.
I know, but a lot of our predictions that we've had so far
they have
been answered in this section. Whether they panned out or whether we were off, they were answered in this section. I feel like.
Yeah, they were. There was a lot that happened. And we're still not even done. So I'm just like dying to know what happens.
What more is coming?
Yeah.
I know.
Okay, so one of the first things that really stuck to me, which honestly was a huge surprise, y'all, I did not see this coming, was the early attack of the army. What the fuck, Eden? So they had 7,000 men that they had gathered, and they took about 5,000 of them, or Eden did. He took them for like an early attack. He kind of wanted to test out the army to see how well they did. And they wanted to do a small attack at a nearby city or something. And they got them all killed. I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? And I hate to say that it just didn't feel that Kelsier felt all that bad. Yes, he was in shock when he found out about this, because I think he was in shock that that Eden did that without like consulting him. I think that was the part that shocked him, but the deaths didn't really seem to impact him all that much, because he even said, well, we got part of our plan right, because now they're going to be sending out all these garrisons to go search for the rest of the army, or to go search for the rest of the rebels. And so he was like, see, we got the garrison out of the city. That was our plan all along. It's working. He just has one task in mind, and he's gonna, like we said in our last episode, he's gonna do whatever it takes to get to that, right? And so I was kind of upset that these deaths really didn't have a huge impact on him, but it happened. That was the first thing. I was just like, kind of thinking back to one of the very first things that I said in our first episode. I just don't think that they're going to be able to pull this heist off. I mean, look what happened. You cannot control this many. Wrong. Exactly. You cannot control that many, a heist this big. There's things that are bound to go wrong. We had already said, right? And so I'm interested to see. I mean, he's already talked about how he's going to turn this around into a positive. I'm interested to see how that is going to go down. But yeah, that was the very first thing that really stuck out to me. I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
My gosh. Okay. So I thought Kelsier showed a little bit more remorse than you did, I think.
I did too.
Yeah. Okay.
That we lost 5,000, or we lost 3/4 of our army. And I think he bears some responsibility here, because because Vin was the one, he was ready to go and save them. Mm-hmm. They see them in the distance. They've been dashing on pewter this whole time.
That was cool too.
That was cool. And you could see, I really appreciated Brandon Sanderson's writing here. The fact that they're not superhuman, right? They have abilities, but they still have their limitations of their body. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were pushing themselves beyond the limits.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's just so smartly written, because Vin is learning all of this for the first time. So she's how we learn about the world building, right? And so she is getting tired, and she's, that's what she's thinking about. Anyway, so they're dashing this whole time. And Kelsier stops them, and he can use your senses. And can you hear anything? No? Okay. Oh, or yes, you can. Now let's look. And they can see in the distance with their superhuman senses.
Yeah.
The battle that's going on.
What's going on? Yeah.
And it's an execution, right? It's not even like taking prisoners. They're executing every. And so he's about ready to go in and save whoever he can, but Vin is the one that tells him, no, you're not invincible. Like, you can't do this. Instead,
and reminds him that.
Right. Instead, let's go to the caves and see what's over there and see if there's anyone left.
She was the voice of reason here.
She was, yeah. And which is kind of telling that the 17-year-old is the voice of reason here. And I think that shows some growth on her end.
On her end, yeah. Not on Kelsier's end, though.
No, not on Kelsier's end, but on her end for sure. And so it was that little nuance there that shows how she's growing and developing, and I appreciated that. But yeah, I think Eden bears some responsibility here, right?
Yeah.
I think Kelsier, based off of what Kelsier did, right, in our last section, that he lied to them about him being able to pass on their powers, right?
Right.
He bears some responsibility for that, for sure. But Eden is the one that said, hey, let's try this. We're going to do it.
That was all him.
I cannot believe he did that.
And the 5,000 that followed him.
Come on, man.
Yeah. So I am going to bring an aspect of this situation up in one of my character moments, so I'll save my comments for then.
Okay.
Yeah, it was poorly conceived.
Yeah. And I do like the fact that like it was brought up where it was the young people who went with Eden to, you know, like the ones who were just kind of being rash ones, and all the like the older, wiser men were the ones that stayed behind. So those were the 2,000 that are left. So anyways, okay, so that was the very first thing that I like really impacted. And then at that point, like, the crew was ready to give up. So they're like, nah, like we just lost our army, bro. Like we're done. And it just so happened that my next point is kind of what turns this whole thing around. And I'm just like, I mean, it's a coincidence, right? There is no way Kelsier could have set this up any better to convince the crew to get back on it. So I was a little hesitant about this, but could he have done this? Could he have like set up this whole thing where like one moment his crew is ready to give up on him, and then all of a sudden these executions happen and it's this turning point for everybody? That was exactly what was going through my mind. I was like, there's absolutely no way, but I feel like Kelsier did something. So, okay. So here's my thoughts. I wonder
if he knew it would be the result.
Right. Maybe he knew that was what the Lord Ruler would do. Yeah. So after the crew tells him that they're done, these executions start happening in the town where the Lord Ruler shows up, which, by the way, like, shows up, right? He's there, but he's in the carriage. What it is, he shows up and he executes hundreds of people. And it's just random people. It's not even people that were in the army, not rebels. It was just random ska who died just because of the rebellion that happened. It's pretty much just a power play, a reminder that, hey, I'm your ruler. You guys bow to me, right? You don't rebel against me. So I was just like, how convenient for this to happen. Okay. So there were several things during that whole scene that just jumped out at me. And I'm just like, I don't know how to pick one.
There was a lot here.
There was a lot that happened. Okay. So the first thing, like I said, the Lord Ruler being there and just being in the carriage, not really coming out. I'm like, he's still kind of keeping up this mysterious persona. I still think it's a whole Wizard of Oz thing where he's really not that almighty and powerful. He's just a simple man.
What's really happening here?
Yeah. So that was there because I was waiting. I was waiting for him to come out of the carriage. I kept reading. I'm like, come on, get out of the carriage. Let me see who you are. And then the other thing, it was a very subtle thing, and I'll touch more on this. So I'm just going to touch on this now and then talk more later. But like Vin, she kind of she was feeling the Lord Ruler's touch on her emotions. And like nobody's supposed to be able to feel that, right? And so I'll talk more about it later. But that really stood out to me in that section. And then the last thing is exactly what I said about Kelsier. So Kelsier takes this opportunity to remind everyone who the real enemy is, right? And why they should continue the heist after everyone tells them that they wanted to quit. And so this is what he tells them. It's time to stop the charade. If we're going to do this now, we have to be upfront and honest with ourselves. We have to admit that it isn't about money. It's about stopping that. I intend to continue my fight. I realize that some of you question my leadership. You think I've been building myself up too much with the ska. You whisper that I'm making myself into another Lord Ruler. You think that my ego is more important to me than overthrowing the Empire. You're wrong. You have to trust me. You gave me your confidence when you began this plan. Despite how dangerous things seemed, I still need that confidence. No matter how things appear, no matter how terrible the odds, we have to keep fighting. And so on the one hand, I understand he's trying to tell his team, hey, this is the real enemy. We have to fight against them. But on the other hand, I still think that this whole thing was orchestrated for you to manipulate the situation once again to fit your own agenda. But again, that's my brain thinking bad of Kelsier, right? So I don't know, because then he even finishes this whole speech by saying, from here on out, you don't question me anymore. That's how he laid down the law. Exactly. He's like, if you're going to stick with me, you don't question me anymore. I'm just like,
right.
Okay. Okay, sir.
It's like, well, what now?
And then
I hear you.
Right? And then like the fact that he was like, I know that you guys are talking about me thinking that I'm another Lord Ruler. I was like, so you see it. You see your arrogance in this. Like you're seeing how you're being. I don't know. What did y'all think about that? Because I was just like, in my head, I'm thinking the worst here.
Well, I see where you're coming from, but I'm also trying to compare that to, so these are all instances where he's interacting with the crew and what he's saying outwardly. And his internal monologue feels like he's battling with the character and persona that he's building. And for whatever reason, he feels like he needs to almost make himself out to be the Lord Ruler 2.0. And I'm still trying to understand his motives for that, why he's building himself to be this persona. And he's even in his inner monologue when they're reading the Lord Ruler's journals, he's saying that he can relate, and it seemed like the Lord Ruler was also struggling internally with this person he had to become, or basically being the Lord Ruler. So I'm like, why though? Why choose to go about this, rebellion by becoming basically the same thing that you're rebelling against?
Exactly.
Obviously not a good thing, but why?
Yeah.
Like, why do you think you need to do that?
Because I mentioned those parallels in the last episode, and now he's acknowledging the parallels here.
Right. Yeah. So I'm still keeping an open mind that he has a reason for this that will make sense maybe in the end, just because I just can't see any other way. You don't have to do, you could rebel against a bad ruler without becoming him,
Yeah. And I'm sure if you guys have already picked up on our personalities, Ethan and Stephanie are logistical ones. They're always the ones that think with their brains, and I always feel the emotion and just run with it. So I've already felt a certain way about Kelsier, and I'm just kind of running with it.
Yeah, I do. Because I do go off of a gut instinct. Like I've gotten really good, I would say, at feeling that gut instinct and pausing it, like putting a little pin in it, and then like trying to think of where either that person might be coming from or whatever it is, because like I feel like one of my number one strengths whenever you take those personality tests, especially in corporate America. Corporate America loves personality tests, okay?
And they don't even use them.
I know.
Yeah.
But what I've learned through my many tests that I've taken is that I am very empathetic. Like empathetic comes up as my number one strength almost 100% of the time. So that's, and I think it serves me well when it comes to like making predictions in books, because I can think about it from literally every different perspective, and it's frustrating as hell sometimes, but it is fun. It makes for a great reading experience. So what I can tell you is that you can feel validated in feeling the way you do, because I also, like, that was my gut reaction. I was like, son of a bitch.
Right.
I was like,
because it happened right after.
I was like, it is way too convenient when even Kelsier was feeling all hope was lost before he talked to Menace, the guy, the Ska from the Trusting, all the way in the prologue in the Trusting plantation where Kelsier saves all of them. He saves all of them, and Menace is the one that, right, did he? But he relieves them from their oppressive, noble, right?
Yeah.
And so they're forced to basically either go to a different plantation or, make for the caves.
Yeah.
So he comes across Menace. Menace is one of the 2,000 that stayed behind and didn't join Yeadon. And he's like, hey, so you effed up.
Yeah.
Here's where you can, here's what's good in this situation, basically.
Right.
He was like his voice of reason there.
Yeah.
And right after that conversation, the very next chapter, we get this.
I know.
I was like, this is very convenient. Like, I don't want to think the worst of Kelsier.
Right.
And I don't want to think that he could possibly maneuver this.
Right.
Where innocent, not just men, but women and children are also dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could see it because I could see him just being that vengeful where everything, his vision kind of goes red, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I could see
At
it. I'm
all
trying,
costs,
like
he's
Steph,
gonna
I'm
get
trying to
this
keep
done.
that open mind
Yeah.
to where other possibilities
all I can say
could.
about like the way that I approach stuff like this, where you just don't really know the true motives of a character, is like my opinions of a character are always subject to change.
Right.
And I'm like, and
Yes.
I do
It's my
not
disclaimer.
have a final thought on someone until the book is done.
True.
So I'm like, there's still more to possibly be revealed. And
Yeah.
I feel like Kelsier's been working on this plan for way longer than just what is written in this book.
Right.
And so, like, he's probably turned every single page over and has thought of plans B, C, D, all the way through Z at this point, is what it seems like to me. So, not that I'm saying I think he's a good character, but
You just don't know.
I'm still absorbing the information right now.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
it should be. I just run with my emotions sometimes. Okay. So the last thing that stuck out to me that I think is going to be extremely helpful with their plan now that they're going to continue is the information that Marsh is getting for the crew. He is in some deep shit, y'all. I fear for Marsh if he ever gets discovered, which I really hope he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he is in just like, he's in it. So he revealed that there are dozens of soothing stations all around in the ska sections of the city. And each station contains a couple of ministry soothers who their only duty is extending a dampening like influence, so making sure that everybody feels low and broken and will not fight back, right? And it's actually why they've had a hard time recruiting to the rebellion too, because like of this fact, like all these students and nobody knew about them, and this is like top secret mission shit here. And so the fact that like now Marsh knows, he gave that information over to Kelsier, and he even gave him a map of where all these places are. Like, I think that's going to really help turn this like whole plan around. I still don't think it's going to happen, but hey, there seems to be some things that are going well for them, and I think this is one of them.
Yeah. Marsh MVP right now. This is crazy stuff.
And and the fact that he didn't even want to be a part of it is crazy to me too.
I know, and he's bringing them some really good information.
Yeah.
Like game-changing stuff.
I feel like it's a bit of a Riddick red flag here. Like, I know I was the only one that thought Riddick might be evil in Fourth Wing, or
I have a thought too, but go ahead.
And so I think I might be in the minority here about Marsh. I don't think he's an evil character. I don't think he's the betrayal. I think there will be a betrayal. I just don't think it's Marsh. However, I don't think he's being as covert as he thinks he is. I'm afraid that this is a huge trap.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so, like, because this map seems too perfect.
Yep.
It seems too easy. And we learned who gave the map to him.
Right.
Which was the Prelon. However, we're saying that
which
the Prelon
is Ben's father.
Yeah. I know. Big reveal.
Yeah.
So, and I know Steph is going to talk about that later, I think.
Yeah.
Good points.
Yeah. But it just seemed very trappy to me.
Yeah. Whenever I kind of had, I feel a sense of dread with this information. I think it's great information to have, but I think that like, him being where he is, I fear for him. There's no way you can be that sneaky around all these inquisitors and obligators or whatever they're called. You know,
might like an intentional betrayal, but it's just like he's gonna be caught, or something.
Yeah.
Especially when he reveals that he thinks inquisitors are Mistborn.
Right.
I was like, you think they're Mistborn and you're still in there?
Yeah.
Like
I know.
But he's that intrigued by the whole thing. Like, he wanted to do that. He wanted to infiltrate them because he wanted to know more about that whole, what is it called? The whole
ministry.
But the whole ministry, yeah. So those are my 3 things.
A lot there.
There's so
very
much.
Juicy.
I'm telling you, I had a hard time narrowing down what I wanted to talk about.
And I still, like, you hit on some really great points, and we still have, like, half the section that we didn't even touch on yet.
Well, there's a lot of really
so
great
many
stuff I want to
things.
talk about for my 2 character moments. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so I won't hit on too much more because my 3 points followed the same lines as you. But yes, the state of the rebellion with the army, that was a big, oopsie moment for Yeadon, I feel like. And ultimately, he paid the ultimate price. That sucks for Yeadon.
Yeah.
Because Yeadon has been confirmed deceased.
Yeah.
So they even talked about, like, they decapitated him, put his head on a pike. It reminded me of, like, The Walking Dead, the pike scene.
God. Yeah.
So, yeah, for those of you that know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Or
what it
Game of
reminded me of,
Thrones,
that whole,
how they would do that.
Yeah.
that description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second is just the fact of Vin's independence in this section. I feel like she is really coming into her own. Like, this was a very heavy section for Vin, and it was a good section for Vin. Up until this point, I've kind of been a little frustrated with her.
Yeah.
But last section made it a really good point in reminding you that she is just a teenager. Right? And even Kelsier humanizes her in this section by saying that, like, oh, she's just a girl and I brought her into this.
Yeah.
Like what did I do?
That was such a small moment too.
Yeah, but very impactful.
Yeah.
But having read last section where she did frustrate me a little bit, but was reminded that she's 17, and then going into this section and like, oh my gosh, she's 17 and she's killing it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Quite literally.
By Shan Ilariel.
Right.
But yeah, I and seeing her be so quick-witted.
Yeah.
In the political scenes, in the ballrooms and stuff like that. And I just thought that was
already
great.
Noticing the Lord Ruler's touch, even though they were being misted or whatever.
They're being,
in the inside the copper cloud.
Yeah.
So great section for Vin. And of course, the third thing that stuck out to me was the political house wars.
There's a lot going on there.
So much going on.
Yeah.
So because they've transitioned to the next phase of their project, because they truly did, get the garrison out of the city, which was one of their goals in the big plan. It may not have happened as they would have liked, but it's done. So they've switched over to the next part of their plan, which was break down. I'm thinking of Mean Girls. Like getting rid of the army of
Break
skanks.
the plastics.
And
the army of skanks.
That too.
So we literally got rid of the army of skanks. And now we're in the next part of the plan, which is get rid of the houses, right?
Yeah.
Incite house wars, bringing them down. And so they've already started with House Hastings. And so Vin makes her way into one of the balls. And Tikal.
Yeah.
Tikal.
That house is already done for.
That house is gone.
House
defunct.
T. I don't know.
House T.
Yeah, there you go.
House T.
Yeah, they are defunct and they are no longer with us. And so now House Hastings is the next domino. Right. And that is a big domino because that is having, by the end of this section, that has had some monstrous effects. Right. So much so that House Venture's ball is the last ball of the season.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we get there and that's kind of where all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Y'all, when that was happening at that ball and like everybody was icing her out, I thought she had been like truly found out because like right before then, when
I was thinking that,
when Ellen realized that something fishy was going on with her and had her followed, I was like, oh shoot, they found out. And
I thought the same
at the ball,
thing.
I thought like I had a pit in my stomach thinking something was going to happen to her. Something did happen, but it wasn't that.
It was just that her house was too neutral.
Right.
Right. And honestly, that whole scene walking into it, I had that same pit in my stomach. I was like, oh my gosh, this is giving Red Wedding vibes.
Oh, yes. Oh my God. Yes, exactly.
From Game of Thrones, Red Wedding. I was thinking that. And I was like, oh my, because when everyone started icing her, I was like, no. I was like, I know, like that can't be the case here because we still have the rest of the book to go.
I know.
But like, that's what I was feeling. And I was like, good on Sanderson for making me feel that, even though I know that can't possibly be happening right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But you never know. I mean, you didn't know going into
Truly,
it. Yeah.
Right.
But now the next target is House Venture. And that's...
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts there.
Okay, y'all.
Same.
I probably should have made this one of my points, but like about House Venture.
Yeah.
Ellen's dad was trying to take him out.
I know.
Take him out.
Okay,
That
so
was part of his plan.
Yeah.
What?
So that kind of like, I kind of mentioned that in my character impactful moments, but not really, like not the dad part, but holy shit, I was pissed the entire time reading that.
Right.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You're really going to get rid of your son that quickly? You have no shame of ordering your own son's death. That's how political these things are getting. That's how ruthless they're becoming. You're just going to kill your own son and just be done with it. What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't even
and
think
Ellen
it was ruthlessness.
still doesn't even know, right?
No, Ellen doesn't know.
Right.
Doesn't know it was his dad, but yeah, no, he knows that he was the target of an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't even think it's
That
ruthlessness. I think it's his dad seeing an opportunity
To stay in power?
To get his son to never have his hands on House Venture. Because
To stay in power, right?
well, not
no,
him. He like when he goes away, he doesn't want his son taking
he said
over.
he
He
would
wants his
rather
nephew.
That's
Yeah, a
right. I
nephew
forgot
of
about
his.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because while we're at the ball at House Venture and Vin is getting frozen out, right, by everyone there, and it is revealed because she is too neutral. Sazed comes up to her. He's like, we missed something. We were late to the ball, and we missed an announcement that this was going to be the last one of the season. And that's when Vin realizes, I get it. We've been playing it too safe.
Yeah.
And now everyone is forming their alliances here, and that's why I'm
they
getting
don't have
frozen
any
out.
strong alliances.
Well, she didn't have enough time to.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just kind of the victim of chance here, I guess.
Yeah.
But in doing all of that, Sazed leaves because he's like, we have to tell Kelsier this because if not, his credibility is about to take a hit.
As an informant, yeah.
Right. And so during that moment, that's when Vin goes to try to get Ellen's attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have their moment, and Ellen kind of crushes her dreams there.
Oh, so
but
sad.
then she sees Kliss, and I wanted to kind of throat punch her a little bit. Like Kliss. But we learned that she's an informant, and she knows how to play the political game and the political maneuvering.
For sure.
And Vin's like, so you've been duping me this whole time? She's like, yeah, you idiot.
Yeah, girl.
I've been duping you hardcore.
Yeah.
So,
well, Vin is
and everybody else here.
Yeah. She's so young and naive. Like, she really... it was kind of funny to me that she was just like, oh my God, really? Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Did you not expect for that to happen? Like, duh.
I was thinking that the last time I read Kliss,
sweetie.
I was like, oh, Kliss is playing her.
Yeah.
Kliss is playing her real good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And
Ben
Ben thought she was playing her.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
like,
feeding her some like bad
you
information
cutie.
about House Hastings.
Yeah.
And then she was like, why would you be spreading those lies, Ben? What don't you want me to know?
I love it. It was funny.
I loved that. I did like that moment.
Yeah.
But through their interaction, that's how Vin figures out that Ellen's father is setting up an assassination attempt.
Yeah.
So I just thought that section was just
And that Shan was
filled.
Mistborn.
Right.
Yes, and so she goes to thwart the assassination attempt. Yeah, and then she comes up against Shan, and that's how she figures out that Shan is Mistborn.
Fucking
Right.
Shan.
And
it was clever
Vin
the way
gets
she
to
did
use-
it.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
with the ADM. Because most people would have like gotten scared and like tried to hold out as long as possible, but she was smart and decided to like burn hers out to like trick her.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
Yeah, and I loved it. She even knew how to anticipate it, right? Because she felt that her ATM was burning out more quickly than Shan's was.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm going to stop burning it. And that's when Shan was like, ooh, I got her now.
Right.
And so that's when Shan went in for the kill. And Vin was like, just kidding. I still have some left, and I'm going to burn it right now so I can kill you.
So smart. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was really well done.
So Steph, you said you wish that would have been your one of your 3 points, but what were your 3 points?
Yeah, so my first thing was I really latched on to the fact that they only want nobles to be able to practice allomancy in this empire. And I just want to understand why. In my head, I'm just like, why do we have to have a whole ska faction, you know?
Right.
Obviously, a lot of times when there's an oppressive society, the people lower on the rungs are usually oppressed for labor. And a lot of them are being oppressed for labor. But I don't know. I feel like something else is going on here. Like there's some other layer to this. But anyway, I really don't know what that could be. It's just something that I wanted to bring up and discuss. So, and it really got me thinking about this whenever Ham and Vin were talking about what would happen to his family if the Inquisitors caught him. And why they live in a different city. So it turns out that Ham is married and has a whole family, but they live in a different city. But he hasn't even told Kelsier what city that is.
Yeah.
Just in case he ever gets caught, the Inquisitors would have no way to connect him to them. So anyway, this is a conversation between Ham and Vin on their way to the garrison. He tells Vin, I'm a misting Vin. That means that all of my descendants will have some noble blood. My children might turn out to be allomancers, as might their children. No, when the Inquisitors kill a misting, they make sure to wipe out his children too. So again, you know, messing around with people's whole families. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, but to what end though?
Yeah.
You know, because like typically in a society like this where they lean a lot on the labor of a lower class of people, it would be better for them to have more of that labor. But in this case, if they somehow got this, you know, ability to perform allomancy, like, yeah, I can see how that if they had this power, they could, you know, more successfully rebel against the Empire. But I'm like, there's something else there, you know? Or
yeah.
Is there? I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. What do you guys think?
Well, that's kind of what I thought. My initial thought was like, obviously keeping control over the power and making sure that the right people have it so that they don't rebel against them. Kind of what you already said, like, is that the only reason, or is there more to it? Like, that's the only thing I can think of. I haven't really thought too much about it, so it could be something that maybe there is more.
It's all about control, right? Like because we learn a lot in this section. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of it is kind of hidden gems until we get to the end and we piece it all together like, oh, that makes so much sense, right? And I think one of those was when the executions were happening. Vin, you mentioned, Jen, that Vin feels something. And then we also learn from Marsh that they have soothers throughout the city, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this idea of control, right? Mm-hmm. Where we're constantly controlling how you as the citizen feel.
Right.
And that goes to ska, and it also goes to the nobility, right? Not only are the nobility controlled in that way, but they're controlled in the sense that they have a job to do. Right. They have to look after the ska. And they're controlled by atium, right? Every noble family wants atium.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Lord Ruler, I'm going to get the nobles in control first. They can control the ska. And that way, it's kind of hands off for me, right? So I think it comes to the idea of control.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought too.
It's just all propping up his empire.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So one of my thoughts on this was you remember last time I said that my prediction or theory was that the Lord Ruler at some point realized he's not truly the hero to these people that he at one point thought he was. And maybe he knows that whoever this true hero is going to rise up from the ska, and he's trying to prevent that from happening. So that was my thought on that. But, we'll have to read to see.
Yeah, I have a thought on that too, but I haven't I'll talk about it in my prediction, but I have a thought about that.
Okay. And then my next thing that I wanted to talk about was Vin's dad, which is, you touched on that a little bit, Jen. So he is basically, I guess it sounds like the highest ranked person in the ministry, which means he's got to be really powerful, right? Would he be a Mistborn too? I don't know. We don't really know too much about him, but so this is Breeze after she reveals to them who their dad is, because the whole ministry is at these executions. They're all out there, you know, so it's a whole pomp and circumstance. Everybody's at this party. And so she uses her allomancy to look and see who her dad is and points him out to the crew. And they're like, oh shit. It's Tavidian, Kelsier said. The Lord Perlan, I don't know, is the leader of the ministry, my dear. He's the most important of the Lord rulers. Obligators, technically, he ranks higher than the Inquisitors. So this guy's at the tippy top. So I'm like, is this why Vin's Mistborn powers are so much stronger? You know, or at least it just comes so much more naturally to her. Is his power that strong? And did she somehow get more powers from him because of that? So anyway, I wish we had more information on this guy, but apparently he's super high up.
Honestly wondering why it doesn't get brought up even more. There has to be a reason why this is only the second time we've heard about Ben's dad. Right. There has to be more behind that. And you know what I was just thinking of as you were talking? So, did you guys ever watch the Fast and Furious movies? No?
I mean, I watched one.
Oh, okay.
It's just not my cup of tea.
Okay, well, there's one of the movies where they're going after the head honcho guy, right? And so, like, they're tracking this guy, and the guy's assistant is the only one that they've seen, like, around. And so they try to track the head guy by tracking the assistant. Well, it turns out the assistant was actually the head guy, just disguised as an assistant, right? And I'm like, what if, like, Ben's father is actually the Lord Ruler, but he's disguising himself within the ministry. I literally, as you were talking, that just came into my head.
Okay.
That would be huge.
I thought something similar. I thought, what if, because they made such a big deal out of talking about this oppressive feeling as soon as the Lord Ruler came in his black carriage, right?
Right.
To see the executions. And he never gets out.
That's what I'm saying.
He never gets out.
Yeah.
He stays inside. And I was like, I don't know if this has any merit, but it may not, you know. But I was like, what if people like Queen Amidala, like in Star Wars, right? Where everyone kind of circulates who's Queen Amidala that day, so that way Queen Amidala is safe,
right? That's what I'm saying.
Doesn't get assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, like, instead of just one person, what if it's all of the Inquisitors? That's what I thought when I was reading that, because it would make like if he's so oppressive and that powerful, that would it could just be one person that is truly that powerful, but what if it's all of them at the same time doing it?
Right, a combination of everybody.
Because there has to be a reason why Ben's so powerful. They barely mentioned the dad, but they're saying he's like this really important person who could be disguising himself in the ministry, and then there has to be a reason why we have not seen the actual Lord Ruler. But I don't know, because in Kelsier talks about how he has seen him, so I'm like, then he would know. But then he would maybe just be the one that's like, guys, is the Lord Ruler. Either way, literally as you were talking, that came to mind. I don't know, and it's only because I watched it in a movie already before.
That would be a really cool plot twist, though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we'll have to.
So anyway, that was my second point, and then my third point is, what the heck is this deepness?
I know.
So this comes up a couple of times in the epigraphs. And I think they even talk about it a little bit in the dialogue when they're talking about reading the Lord Ruler's journals. So it's the epilogue at the top of chapter 28 where he mentions this deepness. And so it says, it's a thing of destruction, madness, and corruption. It would destroy this world, and not out of spite or out of animosity, but simply because that is what it does. And I'm like, okay, so no one even knows about this deepness that the Lord Ruler supposedly saved the world from.
Right. When it happened 1,000 years ago.
Suspicious of these journals.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, did you make up this deepness just to say that, you know, you had some reason to elevate yourself to this level?
Right.
There's a little bit of a fourth wing aspect in this too, right? Where a lot of their history has been erased,
right?
And we don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And so I think this journal kind of falls into that category where they're not supposed to have it. They just Vin got it for them that one night, right? And
right.
Yeah.
CZ has been
like almost
deciphering it ever
accidentally.
since.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what were we talking? The deepness.
Yeah.
So it does describe what the deepness is, like how it operates, right? And I was like, that sounds very similar to the Lord Ruler. And so you made a comparison to Fast and Furious. I'm going to make a comparison to Fable 3 for those of us that play RPG games. Fable 3, you're this character and your brother is king, and then he's evil though, and then you go on your own journey, and by the end of it you're ready to take over the throne, and you find out that the reason that your brother has been such a dictator and tyrant is because of this threat over here. This dark looming threat is going to consume the world, and you have to get your kingdom in order in a certain way by the time that happens, so that way you can be ready for it. And it just so happens that he took the tyrannical approach to get things done. And that I was like, what if that's what's similar here? What if he was presented with some kind of choice way back when, confronting the deepness, and this is how he's trying, like maybe he didn't defeat it, maybe this is how he has to maintain order until
to prevent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of thoughts on that, honestly. I think it just goes back to the fact that, like, there's a reason why they're trying to get rid of all the Terrorsmen, because they're the keepers of the knowledge, right? And they're trying to erase history, and, you know, this happened 1,000 years ago, so there's really no true knowledge of what's going on. But yeah, I question it myself too. It's like, are you justifying your seat pretty much, right?
Right, yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, those were our 3 things each. You can tell this section, we were loving it because that was a lengthy discussion.
It was rich.
So it was rich.
Yeah.
Rich, darling. So those were 3 things that stuck out for each of us. Now let's move over to our 2 characters that had impactful moments.
All right. So I love that we got a different POV this time, guys. I love Ellen so much.
Yes.
Okay. I'm loving his little brain. Anyways. Okay. So I am happy to say that I think I'm wrong about my last prediction. So, like, in the last prediction, I said that I thought Ellen would be Ben's biggest betrayal, which in a way it kind of was, but not really her biggest betrayal, but there was some kind of, like, betrayal there, right? But I actually think Ellen is a good guy so far. Like, he really does have a good heart so far. Like, right, this is what, like, we've been reading, right? I think he really does have a good heart. And I'm really liking their friendship that they're forming here, relationship, whatever it is, right? I was really sad for Ben when he tried to push her away, because she already had that moment with Reen where, you know, she feels like people are always leaving her. So I was super heartbroken because she was begging him, please don't leave, please don't walk away from me, like trying to explain pretty much herself, but he's just trying to protect her. So again, going back to having a good heart, he knows there's going to be a lot of war, he knows there's going to be death with these house wars, and he doesn't want her to be a part of it. He wants her to be safe. But cue the miscommunication trope here where they're not speaking to each other. If they would just tell each other, which I understand there's a lot there where you can't really just blurt out the truth, right? But I cannot wait until they finally sit down and tell each other the truth, because Ellen doesn't even know that his dad tried to kill him. And he is starting to find out a little bit more about Ben, and he's actually really excited to find out the prospect that she's not a noble woman, because he's probably like, I'm glad that she's not like that, not like everybody else, right? And so, like, I cannot wait until they finally talk. Like, come on, like, you know, like, tell each other what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, and tell Ellen what's going on. Ellen, tell Ben what's, like, what you're thinking, like how you're trying to protect her, and like all this stuff. Like, be truthful, quit trying to push each other away, right? So I really love that moment. I love that Vin saved him even after he had pushed her away. I was like, oh, she loves him.
Oh my God. Okay. Did y'all enjoy that little bit? Or I was just like, girl, what are you talking about? You love him. Okay. You've known him for like 2 months.
It seemed really random.
I was like, she was like,
what?
No, I love him. I'm like,
okay.
Excuse me.
You're talking to romance lover over here, right? I love their friendship and relationship they're forming. Do I think that her loving him is so quick? Yes. Like, I think that she needs to calm down just a little bit, because she's like going a little boy crazy over this boy that she's only just met. But I do love their relationship, and I love where it's going, and I love the potential of it too. There's so much that they could do together because they have a lot of the same idealistics. They have a lot of the same heart. She's just she loves hard, y'all. I mean, look at her past. She latches onto something good and just loves hard,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna give you a throwback and be like, my opinion of Ellen is subject to change. I still need to see more.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so far, I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Especially in this section.
I will save what I have to say about Ellen because he's also one of my people.
Okay.
But yes, I agree with you so far.
Okay. So the other one is Ben. So, Ethan, you kind of touched on this earlier where, she really like grew into herself this section. I really loved a lot of the Ben moments. Like, yes, she was really frustrating in the last one, spilling all the secrets, just being kind of like what you're talking about, just loving on this guy she barely knows. It is a little frustrating. But the way she stood up to Kelsier in this section, I was like, where did this girl come from? That was a badass moment. I really loved it.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so after this whole like situation with Ellen and the like him almost being assassinated and her fighting off Shan, which by the way, super quick side note, I was really pissed that Ellen's dad said that his guards are the one that killed the Mistborn. I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
Your
well,
guards
he was
are
trying
not
to cover for himself.
I know, but I'm like, they're not that powerful. And I'm glad that Ellen kind of questioned that too. He was like, against a Mistborn? There's no way.
Right.
I was pissed about that. Anyways, so Vin goes back to where everybody is at the house, and she tells him exactly what happened, and she confesses, I was trying to save Ellen, and Kelsier was pissed. He's like, how can you, what did he say?
Like risk everything.
How can you be so dumb? How can you risk everything? And I was pissed about that because like he has risked everything before too. He's been impulsive before, and he has made really dumb moves and has risked everybody's lives.
It was a risk to go against a Mistborn when she has only been training as a Mistborn for a few months.
No, for sure. And even Kelsier was surprised to hear that she beat Shan,
and killed her.
A trained Mistborn. Yeah.
Right. Shan has probably been training her whole life.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's a huge feat.
So after Kelsier after he gets mad at her and pretty much says, he's a nobleman, what are you doing? She loses it. And she goes, so are you. What do you think this is, Kelsier? The life of a Ska? What do any of you know about Ska? Aristocratic suits, stalking your enemies in the night, full meals and nightcaps around the table with your friends. That's not the life of a Ska. And then she goes on and describes what she has dealt with as a Ska person. And then she goes, don't talk to me about noblemen and don't say things about people you don't know. You're no Ska. You're just noblemen without titles. And I was like,
boom. Mic drop.
Yeah. When I was reading that, I was like, that's right, bitch.
It's so true though, and like it has been mentioned before that Kelsier basically grew up as a nobleman until his dad found out that he was actually Ska. And then he's rich. This whole crew is rich compared to Ska. They have all of these luxuries that Ska can't even dream of.
Right. They're drinking wine. They sit around tables. They have full meals. Like, they They have a
resources
to sleep, under, and like they have safety. Something that Vin never had growing up as a Ska.
Right.
Even though she kind of felt bad afterwards, I was really glad she said the things that she said.
No, it needed to be said.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that so far she's fucking killing it. I mean, not only is she becoming like more powerful every day, she took out a whole fucking Mistborn. Holy shit. She has other abilities that not everybody has. And she was able to figure out who the informant was at the ball and save Ellen in the process. I know they don't like all the noblemen, but she felt like she needed to save him, and she did,
Yeah.
So
she had good reason to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are my two favorite people in this section.
Fantastic. I will go ahead and say, yes, I also appreciated Ellen's point of view. I thought it was amazing. I started reading, I was like, oh, this is Ellen's point of view. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I know. I love him.
And so, that was really cool. My other person that stuck out to me was Kelsier. I was going to say Vin, but I felt like we were going to talk about Vin a lot in this section anyway.
Yeah.
So yes, Vin would have been it, but Kelsier, going back to him, there was that moment that I was talking about that Vin grew and Kelsier did not, but I still think in this section Kelsier showed some growth here, especially when Vin goes after him and stands up to him. He's like, "Whoa, okay,
Yeah.
let's chat about this."
He
and
finally
so
had nothing to say to her.
Yeah. He didn't really push back
he was
against
left
her.
speechless.
Yeah.
Okay, heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was even like it even said that in the book, and for the first time in his life, Kelsier had nothing to say, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was good. But in that moment, when he goes up to Vin to talk to her, to kind of, calm the waters between the two of them, they just have a really good conversation.
Yeah.
And it's one of the moments that he lets his guard down.
Yeah. They both
Because
do.
even though he's happy-go-lucky, that is his guard. Like he puts it up as a front.
Right.
And so he brought the walls down and they were able to have a real discussion. And this was the moment where it was revealed that there's a very, very strong possibility that his wife, Mare, did not betray him.
I loved Vin for doing that.
Yeah, that was sweet.
It was a great moment where they were talking about Allomancy and she was like, I feel like people, like I could feel someone trying to tap in, even though we were covered by the copper cloud. Like I still felt something there. And so that's what started this whole conversation between the two of them. And she was like, and it is for this reason that I don't think Mare betrayed you. Yeah. Right? She was not the reason. And he's like, but you didn't see it. I saw the Lord Ruler thank her and he can't lie. Yeah. And stuff like that. She was like, no, let's put this in perspective. Let's think it through. And then after they have that conversation, he's like, okay, basically, like, I hear what you're saying. Let's prove it. Prove it to me. And he's like, what am I trying to use right now? And she was able to see through it all. She's like, oh, wait, now you're using steel. Yeah. Now you just switched to pewter. Yeah. And he's like, holy shit, you really can do it. Yeah. And so that's when the revelation is about how strong you are as a misting comes into play. Like if the other person is stronger than you are, you don't really stand a chance when it comes to things, especially
they could pierce
like
a copper cloud, for example.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So if the other person is stronger, they can sense that.
That was a really cool moment for both of them.
Yeah. That's going to really play into my prediction that I have, because I'm just like, that's a big reveal. The fact that she can do that is a big reveal, because Kelsier even said that he's tried to do it and he has never been able to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and she explained to him that she felt that also during the executions when they were under the copper cloud, and she could feel that maybe the Lord Ruler or whoever was like trying to pierce through it or was able to.
I wonder if like the higher you are in nobility as far as like your royal blood, the stronger you are in that aspect, because like Kelsier is a nobleman but not a full one, right?
Yeah, he's half Scot.
So maybe our mom was somebody of importance, because it gets brought up that she's kind of crazy, but what if she wasn't? Right. Like what if she,
but that's
like,
all we know of her.
Yeah, what if they're hiding her true identity, and Vin is actually a very powerful noble, and that's why she's so much stronger.
Yeah.
I also picked up on something else while I was reading and while you were talking earlier, Jen, is because you brought up Reen. And I was like, does Reen even exist? Like, but I know he does because Kamen talked about him, right?
Oh, yeah, true.
But at the same time, I was like, is she really remembering things the way that they actually happened? Like, I feel like Vin can be an unreliable narrator when it comes to things like that. And so I'm wondering like what actually happened there, because I do think something is there with her mom and her baby sister, right?
Well, the whole situation that she was talking to Dachshund about it, right?
I think so.
With her mom and their baby sister. Yeah. She even said, I don't remember this. Right. Reen tells me this is what happened.
She doesn't remember that at all.
So that's not a memory of hers.
Yeah. And this whole book's a trilogy, so like there's a lot that's going to happen that we're not going to be able to cover on our pod, but like I already bought the second book, so I cannot wait to like jump right into it. I have the whole series. Yeah,
I do that.
So I'm really excited to jump into this one.
Yeah.
Those are mine too.
Okay, so my two character moments are Vin and Kelsier, but I do have some different things. So again, this is when Vin and Ham were walking to the garrison together. And so they're talking about, well, no, Vin is just thinking to herself, like, she has been attending all these balls, posing as a noble lady. And now, when they're walking to the garrison, she's dressed completely different, more like a ska, more like kind of in her comfort zone or how she grew up. And so she's thinking to herself, this really is just another disguise, Vin thought. And she walked beside Ham. My makeup is a light coat of ash, carefully rubbed on my cheeks. My gown is a pair of trousers, ruined to make them seem old and used. Who then is she really? Vin the urchin? Valet the lady? Neither. Did any of her friends really know her? Did she even really know herself? So I know this is very much like the musings of a teen trying to figure out who she is.
Right, yeah.
I'm not a girl. Yeah. But I almost feel like this is kind of like positioning Vin in this cast of characters as something other, something else, something more maybe. Because she doesn't really fit in with the nobles. We know that.
Right.
She's kind of stumbling and fumbling through this, but she's finding her own and she's having some success helping them to create this house war. But at the same time, she's a more powerful Mistborn than Kelsier already, and she's barely even learned about her power. And she never really fit in with this life that she lived among the thieving crews. So she never really had a place or truly felt like a part of whatever crew that she was in or crowd that she was in. Mm-hmm. So that just really stood out to me as, setting up her character to be something else.
Yeah. Well,
what did you guys think of that?
I latched onto that too. I think I mentioned it maybe in the beginning where I thought that Ven was going to be a lot more powerful than Kelsier, which is starting to show, true. And I think that you're right. She's going to be much more. This is a way to set that up. She's really coming into herself here. She's really becoming this really powerful person and starting to own that. And I think that what you're saying is true. And I like that, things like this get so subtly put in there because you kind of have to be sure that you're paying attention to pick up on that. But as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, who really are you? Because you are playing a lot of different parts, And I don't think she even knows it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a dangerous game to play, like for someone that's 17, right? And you are trying to figure out who you are, but you don't have time to because you're doing this, you're doing that, and it makes it even more confusing, right, on who you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a big moment for Vin.
Okay, and then my second character moment that stood out to me was, I'm going to take it back to our conversation with what happened with the army in the caves and when they were running to try to warn them if they could ahead of time. So I think at this point they were already back in the caves with the 2000 Ska that decided not to attack with Yedin. And this is Kelsier thinking to himself, why did Yedin decide to attack? So at this point, they don't know why. So he thinks to himself, me, Kelsier thought, this is my fault. He'd promised them supernatural aid. He'd set himself up, had made Yedin and a part of the crew, and had talked so casually about doing the impossible. You knew this would be hard, he told himself. You understood the burden you were taking upon yourself. This moment in his inner monologue is what had me thinking there's still more to Kelsier's motives. I'm not totally sure that it's just to, set himself up to be like Lord Ruler 2.0. Mm-hmm. I think there's another reason why he's putting forth this character and persona of himself as this new, I keep saying Lord Ruler 2.0, but basically that.
Yeah. That
people can follow behind and make this rebellion happen. I'm not sure right now what that might be or why that might be. So, but I wanted to talk about this moment just because I feel like we still don't know 100% of his character is good or bad. To me, this guy is still a big question mark.
Yeah.
All right. So those were our two characters that had impactful moments. Let's move into our favorite, the one prediction. Okay, so Jen, get us started here because I see you squirming in that seat.
Okay,
Just
so
itching to talk about
I know. Well, and like as we were talking, I already shared some other thoughts that I had. So like, I've already kind of shared some predictions, but as I was reading this section, I had two big things. So I know we only pick one. I'm really sorry, guys, but I had two really big things I want to share. Please. Okay.
Go ahead.
All right, let's hear it.
So the first one we had talked about or I had talked about how I don't think the heist will go through, right? Like I think it's a big crazy plan, and how Kelsey is the one that wants to take out the Lord Ruler. What if it's Ben who takes down the Lord Ruler? What if she's the one that kills him and she's the one that completes the heist? Because I think that you're right, Ethan. I don't think Kelsey will make it. I think Ben will be the one to finish the plan and kill the Lord Ruler because of all the subtle hints that are being made about her power, about how she's more powerful. She's picked it up way faster than Kelsey ever has. She's able to detect emotions even past the copper cloud. Like she's able to do all of that. And I think that's going to be helpful when trying to track down the Lord Ruler and actually kill him. So that's what I think. That's my prediction of how the book will end, since we're going into the very last section of our journey on Mistborn. And then the other thing that like really stuck out to me were those little epigraphs at the top. They've been really focusing on that whole like hero of ages that you mentioned, Stephanie. So remember you mentioned last episode, I think, that you said that what if the Lord Ruler is not the prophecy shows that he's not the hero of ages. And so that's why he's hiding so much, so that he doesn't get exposed, right? And I think that you're right. I think it's a talisman. I think because like these epigraphs have really pushed hard on the fact that the Terracemen think that they're superior to everybody else and that they should be the ones in charge and that they should be the hero of ages because of how superior they are to everybody else. Just going off of what the little epigraphs are saying.
I think he mentioned that their prophecy says that it's going to be a Terracemen or something like that.
Okay, so then
one of them said that.
So I'm thinking that the person who's calling himself the Lord Ruler is a Terracemen. Not the person who originally wrote those journals. So, because remember that he's traveling with another Terraceman, I think it's like Rashek or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe he ended up becoming the Lord Ruler instead of the original person who was writing the journal. And I think it's a Terraceman because they've been talking about the Lord Ruler being seen wearing a bunch of bracelets. And so I think that maybe that's who the Lord Ruler is. And that's why maybe it's so hidden, because they don't want them to find out that it's a Terraceman and not the person who everybody thought would be the Lord Ruler.
This is kind of touching on my prediction or theory.
Yeah.
So I won't say.
And I'm trying to like think about how that ties into what I said earlier about maybe like Ben's dad being like, maybe the person who is playing the Lord Ruler is a Terraceman and Ben's dad's the actual all-powerful person with the power, and like together the people that were traveling in that journal are in power, and those are the two people that are running the empire.
I mean, that would make sense on why the Terracemen were being tracked down and killed.
Yeah.
Right.
That would play into that theory.
So one thing that was mentioned a couple of times in relation to Terracemen and the Lord Ruler's journals is that he never mentioned Allomancy in his journals.
Right.
Yes.
So, but they, like you just said, Ethan, they mention a couple of times that the Lord Ruler is seen to be wearing metal.
Right.
And so, as we know now, that Furukami is where you can like imbue these powers into metal. So my theory or prediction is that maybe not only is he an Allomancer, but somehow he figured out how to wield like Furukami, and that unlocked this other level of power that the Lord Ruler now has. And there's even one moment where Vin is trying to burn the metal from Sazed's, like a piece of his metal.
I think it was
where
an
he
earring,
like puts
right?
a memory into it. I think
The
so.
clasp
Yeah.
on the backing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she can like almost sense something, but she says like she can't really access whatever it was that he put into the metal.
But it's there.
So that moment was what made me think like maybe the Lord Ruler figured out how to access whatever Furukami imbues into metal, and it uses that in combination with Allomancy to amplify his powers even more, you know?
Interesting.
What if the 11th metal unlocks that ability?
I don't know. Okay. Here we go. Here's the quote. So, you're right about the logbook. I had hoped that it would mention the 11th metal. This is Kelsey and Vin talking about it. But Allomancy isn't even mentioned in reference to Furukami. The two powers are similar in many respects. You think that he would compare them. And then again, throughout this section, they're talking about Furukami and like whether or not an Allomancer could use it. So that's what I'm thinking. Maybe the Lord Ruler figured out a way.
Because remember, I thought that maybe only a Tearsman knows how to use the 11th metal. And that's why they're being hunted down and killed. So like...
What if the 11th metal is like a metal that has these powers from a Furukamis?
Right, that's what
and an Allomancer is using it.
That it unlocks the power that's in the metals from a
Feruchemist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is not as large in scope as the two of yours. Y'all's are like big picture kind of things. But I think it could be like a stepping stone to connect any and all, right? So I picked up on the part where Cezed gives Vin the backing of the earring because she wants to try it and see if she can actually access it. And she can't. And then Cezed, he was like, is it kind of like this? And she was like, yes, that's exactly what this feeling is like. He was like, it's because, you're not me. And he's like, that's what happens when another feruchemist, tries to ingest another metal from someone else. Like that's the feeling that we get because we're not them. And I was like, you're not them or you're not related. So my thought was that another person that's not related to you cannot use it, but your bloodline can. And I think that's why they're all eunuchs. So
that would make
I think,
sense, yeah.
Yeah, so that's where my prediction is. So it's not as large in scale as y'all's, but I think that's why there's been a big emphasis on their ability to have descendants.
Yeah, and maybe that's how he cut or completely erased their religion from memory, is by controlling
their descendants. Yeah,
that's insane.
Whoa.
I cannot wait to get
That's
answers.
Some good ones, you guys.
Things. Yeah, I cannot wait to get answers. Yeah. I want to know.
Very cool. I know. All right, you guys. So that was the end of our discussion of chapters 24 through 31 of Mistborn. Next time, we'll be discussing chapters 32 through the epilogue. So that'll be our last discussion on this book. And we don't want the conversation to end here. Interact with us on social media. We are Books Between Friends Pod on all platforms. We want to hear your thoughts and what you think about, the three things that we brought up, the two character moments, and our predictions. Like, this is the most enjoyable part of reading, is like having these conversations and like the back and forth of like, oh, what if it's this? What if it's that? So we want to hear from you guys as well. So make sure you read up for the next time.
Next episode for chapters 32 through the epilogue, the stage is set, rebellion is boiling, the houses are on the brink of war, and the Lord Ruler's shadow looms larger than ever. Kelsier's crew has gambled everything, but will their daring plan spark freedom or crush the Ska once and for all? As secrets unravel and sacrifices are made, Vin steps into a destiny far greater than she imagined. Join us for the final chapters of Mistborn, the Final Empire, as we reach the explosive conclusion where survival, betrayal, and legend collide.